Everyone, welcome to our first Career Catalyst session of the year. I am Annabel Baldy from BioBuzz, and I have had the pleasure of hosting these for over the past year. Like I said, know there's a lot of familiar faces on here today. This year, we have been working behind the scenes to kind of switch things up by inviting experts from our community to step into host roles. So we've identified 4 different Career Catalyst tracks, and I'm excited to share that Crystal Richards is going to be leading our career navigation track and hosting these sessions once a month. So some of you guys might have joined her session, I think it was about 6 months ago now. She hosted a awesome session, and she was able to kind of talk about program management. Highly recommend checking that out. That should be on YouTube if you guys want to look at that. A little bit about Crystal. She is the lead trainer and owner of MindsparQ, a project management educator, and she has over 20 years of experience. And she also is the author of PMP Exam Prep for Dummies. So I would check that out too. That was awesome. It came out, think about last year, right, Crystal? Yeah, so we're thrilled to have her again to bring her perspective and expertise to the series. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Crystal to kind of introduce herself and get us started today.
Thanks so much, Annabelle, and hopefully you all can hear me loud and clear. Let me know if you cannot. If you can and you don't say anything, I'll assume you hear me loud and clear, crystal clear. Once again, I'm Crystal Richards. Thank you so much, Tara, for confirming. I am the owner and principal and lead trainer of MindsparQ, which is a project management education consulting firm. And as Annabelle said, I've been managing projects for some time. I would say of the 20 years, probably 10 years, I didn't realize I was a project manager. And that may be the case for a lot of you that you too are like, you know, I'm a scientist, or I'm a researcher, or I'm this tech. And you've been managing projects. And what I have kind of narrowed my field into is helping people pursue their goals and getting one of the premier project management certifications, which is the PMP. So over the last 10 plus, 11 years now, as my own business owner, I have helped people achieve their goals, and I help them move forward with some of the tips that I'll be sharing with you. But before I yap on, I would love to hear from you in the chat. What do you want to get out of this session? Like, what compelled you to say, you know what, I'm going to spend my lunchtime listening and learning from others. So I'm going to give you a couple moments to type in the chat. What is it that you want to get out of here? And please don't put down like the magic pill of keeping to my goals. I cannot promise that, but I would love to hear from you in the chat. Is the chat on, Annabelle?
Yes, it's on.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I'll give it a couple minutes for you all. What is it that made you say, I want to be in this session today? What was it about your goals? Anything that you need to work on achieving? I want to hear from you, because I want to make sure that the conversation is geared toward what you're looking for. And I can, if you've heard of agile, I can be a little agile in this conversation today. Don't be shy. All right. Practical ways, systems to make sticking to my goals a bit easier. I love. Thank you so much, Kayla, for being the first one. You get the gold star. Who else? Don't be shy. I would say this is anonymous, but it's not. But that's okay. We're all friends. Well, while you all think through that, finding my dream job in 2026, I love that honesty. And we're going to kind of probably peel away at that a little bit more. And there was a great article that I received today that I'll make sure that if you want, I can forward it to. I don't know if there's an actual link to it, but I'll see. I want to be in a session today. Just another way to hold myself accountable, forces me to reevaluate my goals. I love it. I want to narrow down career options and create an action item list that keeps me accountable. Perfect. Networking and ways to find new employment in BD. I love it. I love all of them and keep them coming. I think they're all great, and you're at a great starting point to talk about your goals. And I would imagine that a lot of you are in that, high performer and category. And sometimes even as high performers, we can get stuck in our own goals. So this is conversation. I'm not going to start you off with death by PowerPoint. I do that enough with my PMP bootcamp classes. I want to have this as a conversation among friends. And what I find with high performers, myself included, is that there's a lot of activity, a lot of things that I do, but I don't get any traction. And one of the things up front, I just want to say, remember, you're just one person. And if everything is a priority, nothing is. So it's really about making sure that you hone in on what is the priority. And for some of you that have courageously put in the chat about what your intention was for today, I want you to kind of step back and look at some of those goals that you've either written down or either have in the top of your mind. Are they specific enough? Because oftentimes where people get stuck is because your goals are too vague. Like, for instance, I will get people, I'll go back to my space. I want to get my PMP. Okay, that's great. Why? Why do you want to get the PMP? Is it because you saw your dream job or your dream roles? The credential keeps coming up. And if you know that you need to get that certification, for instance, when? Be specific. Sometimes we make these goals because they're too disconnected from the constraints, the realities. Getting the PMP, for instance, is not it's like, oh, proof, I have it. There are time constraints, budgetary constraints, even motivational constraints. So stepping away from PMP, if it is a new job, if it is a new car, whether it's new to you, what does it take? Instead of just saying, I want a new car, when? How much do you want to pay? When do I have time to do the research? And then the thing about careers are the goals that we are establishing, are they too isolated from the market signals? Because sometimes people will go after a role or go down a path and you're not quite paying attention to the signals of the market. Is this whatever certification, is this relevant for the roles that I want, or does it just sound neat? I'll change up a little bit from a certification standpoint because I'm an educational consultant. That's where my lane is. I thought about getting a Lean Six Sigma certification. And then when I looked at the market of who was hiring me, not one client was asking for that certification. For the services that I provide, not one person was looking for that. And still to this day, it's not something that's of need. Because when you do some of those things, I do want to challenge you all. Is it something that's portable? And is it something that's sustainable? Because when I looked back, I said, okay, so once I get this certification, I have to pay monthly or annual dues. I have to do, so many continuing education credits. So think about that from that perspective of when you're establishing these goals. And the reason why I say this is that your time is not infinite. And so when we spend all this time and effort, that's where frustration gets in. That's where the stall happens. The reality about careers today is we're dealing with reorgs, we're dealing with market volatility, and we're dealing with funding shortages. In a stat, and I'm just going to look over here really quickly, in 2025, so this is from a Business Insider article, there were more than 1.17 million layoffs. And this is since the pandemic, since the year 2020. So we know there was a lot of volatility during the pandemic era. And this is where those layoffs led to the restructuring of organizations. And some roles that we thought were slam dunk, they were no longer something that's part of their structure. And we're not going to even go down that path with AI. That has definitely made some changes. And a lot of people are looking into, do I get certified in AI? Do I, take a class, anything of that sort? And this is where that due diligence is important. Taken together, the context of the volatility, funding shortages, or shifts in funding, as well as in reorgs, this is where we need to shorten our planning horizons. Because in the past, it's been 5-year, 10-year type of things, planning that we do. And now it's thinking about the shorter horizon. What can I do within the next 90 days or 180 days? And think about skills that are portable versus being positional. So rather than thinking about a skill within the company, knowing those things about reorgs, market volatility, funding, if things change within my organization, is this something that can move elsewhere? So it's the networking that needs to be done not only within your organization, but think about the networking opportunities, which you all are doing right now, that you can do with other organizations or other folks outside of your organization. So I have a quick question for you all that I'm going to put in the chat. Real talk. Who has had their role or priorities change unexpectedly in the last 2 years? Just the last 2 years. I'm not even talking about in 2020. In the last 2 years. That would be me, exactly. Myself included. Even though I'm a business owner, I was also, and I say that intentionally, a federal contractor, a woman-owned small business contractor, and things have changed significantly in that space. And I've had to make some adjustments because I kid you not, my 2025 goal was I'm going to get all these contracts. Boop, 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 boop. And I had to make an adjustment. But the skills that I brought were still portable to the private sector, not just federal contracting. The skills around proposal writing and sales calls was portable, not just for federal contracting, but in the private sector. So this is something I want you all to think about. And what are those skills that I'm great in my company? Is this something that I need to develop more, get mentoring, coaching, and guidance in case things change yet again? So kind of 3 takeaways that I want you to think about is think about the capabilities that you can carry from one organization to the other. Our days of, staying for the gold watch, right? That we know it's different now. Think about the problems that people come to you and solve. You're this problem solver. So these are things that when people come to me, I am the solution maker around this type of problem. And I bet you, I know it's the same problem in any organization. It's the same problem when people come to me and they're like, oh, we need customized training and this and that. And I'm like, uh-huh. And I'm like, it's the same thing that I've seen with tweaks of names. What I always like to say is the same problems, just a different cast of characters, just different names. And think about the environments where you do your work best. And the environment, it's whatever makes sense to you. I'm not saying, is it more of a nonprofit type of organization? Is it more of a tech type of? I'm saying the environments of, I need stability. I need work-life balance. Oh, I love the craziness of things are just, happening all around because it makes me more indispensable. And that's fine. Think about those things. But adding to that, define a goal that survives volatility. And so there may be where you're establishing your goal, think about in the short horizon of the next 90 days, the next 180 days, 100 days, whatever it is that you want. And anchor that goal on the value that you bring to the organization. It's not what they can do for you, but what you can do for them. And a lot of organizations are looking at that. And that's what sets you apart from a lot of folks And I saw a question come up about, I'm an entrepreneur. What is it that make your unique selling proposition? What makes you unique? And this unique selling proposition, even as a full-time employee. And know that those skills can be flexible across roles, across organizations. So think about those skills and then how do I develop those, and being specific. So I want to take a couple of minutes to share with you kind of my secret sauce. Now, you heard me mention before, I think everybody knows SMART goals, and this can be a follow-up question if you don't, but being specific, having something that's measurable, that it's achievable, yet still a little challenging, that it's realistic, and that it's time bound. That's where that short horizon comes from. But I have a different set of secrets because I follow those things, but I'm talking about what are those kind of unique things that have worked for me, my goals. Well, first and foremost, I do have a vision board. And I know a lot of people are like, vision board, I'm a visual person. I need to see and I'll share my vision board with you. I created this in, it's supposed to come. Picture and pictures open because your share screen. Do you all see my vision board?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I look at this I'm lying. I try to look at this every day. Right? Because it's behind my door. But this is where I have to close my door. And I am amazed at the things that I see come to fruition because I had it there, because it's in my mind subconsciously there. My family and I, we went to Belize last May to celebrate my daughter graduating from college, last one. And it was an amazing time. I unbelievably had the best year revenue-wise, despite everything that happened last year, despite losing federal contracts, because I would not let up, because it was right there in my face. And this is a little crossbody bag over here. Let me see if I can make this bigger. I'm like on this hunt for like this crossbody, and I found one over the holiday, and I'm just amazed. When I'm like, oh crap, I actually found something. But this is where, for me, the vision works. Some of you, you're like, I don't like doing all that stuff. Maybe it's just writing it down and constantly looking at it. That has power. That makes an impact. Secret sauce number 2. I am a fan of the 12-week year. This speaks to the short horizon. Hopefully it's not backwards like mine. So the 12-week year, where instead of creating this year-long plan and you keep pushing things back because you're like, oh, I have until December, you plan your year in 12-week cycles, kind of like in what we practice in agile, where you do it in short sprint cycles. At first I was nervous about this, but it puts the focus in that short time horizon. And I think it's a wonderful resource. It's, you're going to do the trial and error, but it's such a great way to put things in focus right now and set things aside that are for the later quarters. Number 3, secret sauce, accountability. Having someone that you can talk to, whether it is a mastermind group, whether it is your partner, if it is your best friend, if it is just joining, putting it out there into the universe, that is a powerful way, because someone's going to call you out. And if you pick people who don't do that, I want to encourage you, do it otherwise. How are you with meeting that goal? For me in particular, I'm an obliger, and I want to have a report back to say, I did it, or I'm behind. And then I ask them to ask me the tough questions. Why am I behind? And maybe it is not really within the cards of your goal after all. And here's a bonus one. So my 3 kind of secret sauce, I put it out, I make it visual. So I like vision boards. I follow the 12-week year. So whatever model you want, but that's a model that I like a lot, so that I can speak to, be able to manage those goals within a short time horizon, and then have an accountability partner. My bonus one is I have, sometimes people have a swear jar. Well, I have a accomplishments jar. So I just emptied it, but here are my accomplishments over this past year. And every week, again, I'm lying, I try to every week write down my accomplishments. And I forgot some weeks, but the goal is to have 52 sticky notes in this jar. And so at the end of the year, I open them up, and I did do that this year, or this past year. And I'm like, man, I actually did some stuff. Man, I'm actually pretty awesome. And I love that as a constant reminder for myself that it's not just feelings, it's actual data that I have. Here are the things that I accomplished. And that includes successfully completing my very first federal contract as a prime vendor. That includes meeting blowing out the water, my revenue goals for my business. Because it's so easy for us psychologically, we get caught up in like, oh, I didn't get this done this week. But when I have just a look back of that week, like, this is what I got done, and I throw it in that jar, and I can't wait to look at it at the end of the year. That is something that I love to do. Been doing it now for about, I think, since the pandemic, but I'll average, we'll say 3 years now, where I get that reminder about my accomplishments. I make sure that I'm sticking to those goals. So that's where I'm going to pause. And this is where we're going to have our time now for the Q&A, questions that you may have for me. I know Annabelle has some questions for me, but I just want to kind of give you 3 reminders about what I talked about. Your careers survive change when goals are portable and not based on just a position. Short planning cycles beat those long-term kind of, oh, one day is not a day of the week. And I want to encourage you to take stock of evidence of your progress. So when you have that evidence, it helps you to, especially for my scientists, we like evidence, right? It builds confidence, and it helps you with your motivation like no other. So with that, I'm going to pause